bit more defined here where you can see that eye. Just to the north of the Charleston area is what we're looking at. That's where it will make landfall. But the rain has been battering the coastline for a while now. And so you can even see that moisture stream that's over into North Carolina. And that has been the case pretty much all morning long. So if you look at this stream right here, look at all this moisture that's coming into this particular area. Of course, a lot of severe weather here as well. Get some of that friction as the moisture begins to push further inland. And so in this particular area here, North Carolina, parts of South Carolina, inundated with a lot of rain, heavy rain, those winds associated with it as well. Much push the north a little bit closer. Have flow that circulation, not a well-defined eye as we've seen Category 4 or Category 3 hurricane after it left the very powerful right there. You can see it right there, and it's going to make its again to the north of Charleston, right up here toward like the Georgetown area. Either way, the low country of South Carolina being inundated with a lot of winds outside the center of circulation. That's where the strongest winds are. Outside of that, have been gusting well over 100 miles per hour. When you see a plane about to make landfall. Rain, and I'm going to stay on this map for a minute. You look at that rain, it's almost like it's been stuck there in South Carolina, like not crossing the border into Georgia. We've seen the wet weather mainly down toward Tybee Island, and that's just now starting to end. I'm going a little closer here and show you where all winds down here in Tybee Island has been experiencing that as well. We're expecting another inch of rain before things have begun. Now leaving the Savannah area, but making its way further off to the north, further into South Carolina. As that area, as that center of circulation continues to lift north, our conditions getting better. In fact, you can even see down toward Brunswick where some of the clouds are starting to break up down there. But it's really the other story with the storm. Now, you have hurricane warning that's all along the South Carolina coastline, and that you see that across our coastline is a tropical storm warning. And then that's up north. As of 4 minutes ago, just coming in fresh from the hurricane center, still a Category 5 mile per hour winds, gust up to 105. That's outside of the center of circulation, and then north at about 14 miles per hour. And that's for us as of the 11 o'clock hour has picked up some forward speed. It was down to about 9 miles per hour. So getting closer to land or making a landfall, picking up forward speed. And notice also the direction has been due north. That makes it even further east of our area, which is why we're not seeing a lot of that rain. We are seeing the winds associated with it, but we're not seeing a lot of rain. And this will not be a rainmaker for us at all as the storm continues to push further to the north. Should be making landfall later on this afternoon after about we say around the 2 o'clock hour, 3 o'clock hour should make landfall. And again, it's even further to the east now, so you're getting closer now to Myrtle Beach. Heading further up to the north will dissipate rapidly, and that is an area of low pressure as we get into the day tomorrow, moving through North Carolina and eventually up toward the Appalachian Mountains there in Virginia. All right, and so notice how far away that cone is from us now, where earlier in the week, you may recall, we had that same cone. We'll say just Wednesday, we had it over toward more of the Georgia border into South Carolina. That has now shifted a little bit further over toward the east, which means it's better for our conditions, especially as we head into the weekend. So not really a rainmaker for us, but really the winds would be the story. And we do have a wind advisory out there. We'll get to that in just a minute. I do want to show you the models and how they have come together as well, pushing this thing a little bit further over toward the east. Notice how it moves up toward the Appalachian Mountains there in Virginia, but then after that, the models just kind of have it meandering around, even some showing it moving back over the sea. We'll have to wait and see on that, but expecting again this to die out quite rapidly as it continues to move inland. Typically when storms like this move onshore, it loses a lot of the what feeds it, those warm waters of the Atlantic Ocean or of the Gulf. Once we don't have that any longer, of course, these storms begin to fall apart. All right, talked about the winds. You can see the strongest winds along the coastline and up toward South Carolina and North Carolina. Typically, it's the right front quadrant of a storm. And since this one is moving to the north, you think about that right front quadrant, that is where the brunt of the onshore flow is coming. All right. That's why we have those very heavy winds or wind gusts that you see over into South Carolina, into North Carolina, and still offshore as well around that center of circulation. We're on the backside of this, so it's almost offshore winds where we are, especially in the southeastern portions of the state. And therefore, those winds are going to be on the lighter side, especially up here in the metro area. You can see where we don't even have the blue. At times, our winds will get as high as 15, 20 miles per hour sustained winds in the metro area, but you can see they're stronger over toward our south and east. You're looking at winds, sustained winds in the 20 mile per hour range, getting closer to 30 mile per hour range there. So that means the gusts will be a little bit higher. Storm continues to lift to the north. I think by tonight, where we have our wind advisories, those will begin to subside, but we're going to continue to see those breezy conditions around the area. By 11 o'clock tonight, that storm will be well inland up in the northern parts of South Carolina, up toward the Florence area, heading further to the north over into North Carolina, still with the breezy conditions. By tomorrow, we'll have breezy conditions at times through the day, and then that continues as we head into Sunday, where the storm is further off to the north and beginning to dissipate by then, but we'll still have that northerly flow. The good news about our weekend is that it will be dry, okay, so we don't have to worry too much about the rainfall. I do want to show you, again, our wind advisory, mainly for Gilmer, Fannin County down to Pickens County, eastward. That's over toward Habersham County, Rabun County, a little bit further down to the south toward Clark County. Athens is included in that, down toward Putnam County as well, Edenton included in that. So it's in that shaded area there, those highlighted counties. We have a wind advisory that will last until 8 o'clock tonight. Looking at wind speeds anywhere between 20 and 30 miles per hour, probably more so on the 20 mile per hour side, sustained winds. And then the gusts. The gusts could be up to 40 miles per hour. And it's those gusts that, well, the winds themselves kind of weaken trees. That gust kind of would take them out. And so we've had reports of trees being down in some spots, especially over in toward Walton County, trees being weakened, so their limbs may be a little bit loose. And so the gusts could come along and kind of blow those around. If you have unsecure objects around your house, maybe some tools, things like that, that you need to bring inside or anchor down, because those winds could use those as projectiles as well and kind of blow those around. So you really don't want that as well. Now, it's in that area that we'll see, where we have the wind advisory, that we'll see the wind gust as high as 40 miles per hour. In some spots, maybe a little higher. Outside of that, so if you go over toward the metro area, Atlanta Metro, Peachtree City, over toward Rome, you're looking at sustained winds about 15 to 20 miles per hour, and the gusts will be in the 25 to 30 mile per hour range. And so we'll have that at times as we head through the rest of the afternoon, expecting those winds to come down just a little bit as we head into the evening, as the storm continues to pull further off to the north. Again, wind advisory until 8 p.m. for those highlighted counties from Rabun County southward. So you have Gainesville, Hall County, Athens, Clark County, down to Edenton, and eastward is where you're going to find those pretty gusty winds. You can see that from our gust forecast map here. It does show the strongest winds where you see that orange and that purple. Very strong winds, at least for early afternoon. As we head through the latter afternoon and into the evening, that will start to die down just a little bit. But again, we're going to continue to see these gusty winds or breezy conditions right on through the rest of the weekend. Here's some good news as well. Now, we will have the clouds around. We'll say a mix of sun and clouds for today, and that will last at least through tomorrow morning. By the time we get to the afternoon, then that will begin to subside. We'll get a little bit more sunshine in here for your Saturday. I said we don't have to worry about this being a rainmaker. Take a look at our digital gauge here. It does show the rain moving in to our extreme easternmost counties. So you're talking about our counties that border South Carolina is where we could get maybe a half an inch up to an inch of rain. It doesn't show much of anything once you make your way for the metro area. So we're spared from that as well. And that's all because of that track, that eastward movement of the track, pushing the storm a little further over toward the east of us, again, as it makes landfall this afternoon over into South Carolina. You know, the temperatures here have been quite comfortable. We've been talking about Ian a whole lot this week, and really, hopefully you had a chance to enjoy the beautiful weather we had. I mean, the weather was gorgeous all throughout us, talking about a Category 4 hurricane moving to the west coast of Florida. Our temperature is still quite comfortable. Keep in mind, we should be around 80 degrees this time of year. Our temperatures have been in the 70s, and that's where we'll stay for this afternoon. Already at 70 degrees at the 11 o'clock hour. We got a lot of 60s out there as well. We'll see those temperatures begin to heat up, but the clouds that we already have over us have something to say about that. So that's why the temperatures will be in the low 70s for highs for this afternoon. So we'll continue to monitor that. I want to take you back to the radar now before we wrap this up and show you again the storm very close now to making landfall. It's getting closer and closer to the shore. We've been watching this. In fact, this morning when I came in, the same storm was down toward, or actually adjacent to our coastline, and has picked up some forward speed now, moving further off to the north. And so a landfall could take place, I'd say anywhere between, we'll say between 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock this afternoon as it continues to push a little bit further up there to the north. Again, South Carolina, North Carolina has really been going through it, and they will continue that, especially being right there in the strongest part of the storm, that right front quadrant of the storm where the highest wind onshore flow has been. So a lot of storm surge, your severe weather with isolated tornadoes in that area. We're on the backside of this, so almost an offshore flow. So really haven't seen much in the way of rain, and our winds not as strong, for example, up into North Carolina and northern parts of South Carolina. So we've been dodging a bullet there as well. Again, as of the update, 11 o'clock update, 85 mile per hour winds, category 1 hurricane, likely not to gain any more strength before it makes landfall later this afternoon or early this afternoon. The hurricane warning extends all the way along the South Carolina coastline. Once it gets down toward Georgia, that blue there indicates tropical storm warning. We'll continue to watch the storm. It continues to slide further off to the north, again, moving away from our area, but to northern parts of South Carolina, eventually making it to North Carolina as well as an area of low pressure. And then Saturday sliding a little bit further off to the north into parts of Virginia as well. Again, a lot of the power of this storm will be taken away once it moves inland. No longer the warm waters feeding the storm, and so it will start to die out rapidly as it moves up to the north. I do think the area of low pressure will linger around, which is why I do think we'll have a few clouds in our area as we head through the afternoon. High pressure has been dominating back off to the west of us, and that's why our winds have been so strong, because we have that tight gradient. And so we're watching those winds again out of the northeast. Yesterday they started pretty breezy in the afternoon, and now a little bit stronger that we have the wind advisory around. All right. And so we're going to continue to keep you updated here, right here for our latest update. In fact, we have one more update that's going to be coming to you at 2 o'clock. Nord will have the latest on the storm by then. If have made a landfall already, poised to make landfall, and she'll walk us through the storm making landfall for a second time now with this particular system as it continues to push further off to the north. Again, our conditions not as bad as what we've seen down there in Florida with all the pictures, with all the flooding that you've heard about. We're just dealing with the winds, which so far, for the most part, have been sustainable. We have had reports of some down trees in the area, likely to maybe see a few more of those, especially east of the city of Atlanta for our easternmost counties, especially those that border right up there against South Carolina. As the storm pushes further in, again, with that wraparound, we'll see that increase in clouds, and the chance for showers will remain in the forecast for our easternmost counties and our northern counties through tomorrow morning. It's a very low chance. We'll give it a 20 to 30% chance, we'll say, as that continues to push off the north. Most of us won't see anything at all. I know you had plans for a tailgate with the Falcons on Sunday. They're back in town. I think your tailgate will be fine. Got an early game, 1 o'clock game. Most of you get out there about 8, 9 o'clock. We will see a few clouds in the morning, and it will be on the cool side. Temperatures down into the 50s, but all in all, I think you'll have a good tailgate. I didn't get the invite.